Haven was a city of shadows, where crime thrived in the dark and justice seemed perpetually out of reach. Amid the chaos, Silas Kane emerged as an enigmatic figure. By day, he lived as a reclusive billionaire, managing a business empire that masked his true intentions. But both day and night, he became something far more dangerous. With a strict code, he pursued justice. Stealing brought prison. Killing met an unflinching end. This was no simple crusade. This was a mission born of personal loss and relentless resolve. One stormy night, Silas perched on a rooftop overlooking a violent mugging. The victim's screams echoed through the alley below as he calculated his move. His suit, reinforced with state-of-the-art armor, shielded him from the bitter wind. Within moments, the assailants were neutralized, their crimes marked for the authorities. Silas melted back into the shadows, leaving no trace but a message. Justice had arrived. He wasn't a savior in their eyes, but a symbol of fear for those who thrived in darkness. As dawn broke, Silas's mission continued unabated. In the rundown corners of the city, his pursuit of justice led him to a petty thief tied to an underground weapons ring. This wasn't just any ring. It supplied the tools for some of the city's worst atrocities. The interrogation was swift and relentless, uncovering the name of the operation's mastermind, Callum Vex. Silas delivered the thief to the authorities, a note pinned to his unconscious body revealing the next target. Each step brought him closer to dismantling the network, but each step also brought new dangers. It wasn't enough to act alone. Every decision had ripples, and Silas began to understand the depth of the chaos he sought to contain. Meanwhile, in a lavish hideout on the city's outskirts, Callum Vex learned of the disruption to his plans. Vex was no ordinary criminal. His chaos was deliberate and sadistic. He thrived on creating fear, orchestrating violence like a symphony of destruction. As he plotted his next move, Silas prepared to infiltrate the docks, where Vex's network thrived. By daylight, he conducted surveillance, blending into the city's bustling activity. By night, he studied blueprints and prepared his strategy. Every detail mattered. One misstep could cost lives. The clock was ticking, and every second felt heavier than the last. The docks became a battleground as Silas faced Vex's gang in a brutal skirmish. The air was thick with the scent of salt water and the metallic tang of blood. With precision and determination, he dismantled the operation, cornering Vex himself. Their confrontation was intense, an unrelenting clash of willpower and physicality. Vex taunted Silas, mocking his code and questioning his resolve. While Silas was tempted to end Vex's reign permanently, his code held firm. He subdued Vex and ensured his capture, leaving justice to take its course. The docks were left in silence, a stark contrast to the chaos that had unfolded. The aftermath lingered, and Silas took a moment to consider the consequences of his choices. Back in his underground base, Silas turned his attention to a new threat. Reports indicated a killer known as Echo, who mimicked the methods of his victims. Echo was unlike any foe Silas had faced before, a shadowy figure whose motives blurred the lines between justice and vengeance. Silas knew he would become Echo's target, a challenge he welcomed. By day, he trained harder and scouted Echo's potential movements. By night, he reviewed profiles of Echo's past victims and anticipated every possible scenario. This wasn't just another mission, it was personal. His preparation spanned days, with each moment building a clearer picture of his adversary, a dark mirror of his own mission. The confrontation between Silas and Echo unfolded on a rain-slicked rooftop. The city's neon lights reflected off the puddles, casting eerie shadows. Echo's grotesque mask and taunts sought to unnerve Silas, but he remained steadfast. Their battle was ferocious, a test of strength, strategy, and ideology. Echo pushed Silas to his limits, forcing him to confront the darker aspects of his mission, but Silas emerged victorious, refusing to stoop to Echo's level. Instead, he ensured the killer's capture, proving that his code was unbreakable. Echo's reign of terror ended where it had begun, in the shadows. As the sun rose once more, Silas stood on a rooftop, watching the first rays of light pierce through the gloom. The city below began to stir, oblivious to the battles fought in its name. Justice, he knew, was not always black and white. Sometimes it existed in the gray shadows of the world, but in a city like Haven, even a shadow could make all the difference. Silas descended into the streets, ready for the next chapter in his relentless pursuit of justice, by both day and night. Epilogue. Unveiling the Web. The capture of Echo marked a pivotal moment in Silas's mission, but it was far from the end. The evidence gathered from Echo's hideout revealed a tangled web of conspiracies that stretched far beyond the city of Haven. Among the documents were blueprints, encrypted files, and a list of names, figures of influence who had orchestrated crimes from the safety of their power. Each name was a reminder that true justice would require more than a code. It would demand persistence and a willingness to confront the most insidious evils of society. By day, Silas delved deeper into the files, using his resources to decode the messages and uncover the connections. By night, he methodically dismantled the remaining factions of Vex's empire. The fight was no longer about isolated incidents of crime. It was about exposing a system designed to exploit the weak and empower the corrupt. With every step forward, the scope of his mission grew, and the stakes became higher. As Silas pursued the network, he began to realize that he could not fight this battle alone. A chance encounter with a young hacker, Lena, changed the trajectory of his mission. Lena, a skilled coder with a penchant for exposing corruption, had been tracking the same network from a different angle. Reluctant at first, Silas eventually saw the value in her expertise. Together they formed an uneasy alliance, combining their skills to infiltrate systems, gather intel, and execute plans with surgical precision. The dynamic between Silas and Lena added a new dimension to the mission. While Silas embodied discipline and a rigid code, Lena brought ingenuity and a willingness to bend the rules when necessary. Their partnership was not without friction, but it was effective. Together they uncovered a deeper conspiracy, an elite group known as the Umbra Syndicate, whose influence spanned continents and industries. The pursuit of the Umbra Syndicate brought Silas and Lena to the edge of their capabilities. The Syndicate's leaders were protected by layers of security, mercenaries, and a network of disinformation. Every move they made was countered with precision, forcing them to adapt and innovate. The final confrontation took place in an abandoned skyscraper where the Syndicate's council had gathered to discuss their next move. Silas and Lena launched a coordinated assault, using every tool at their disposal to dismantle the Syndicate's operations and expose their crimes to the world. The battle was grueling, a culmination of all the challenges they had faced. Silas's code was tested to its limits as he confronted the Syndicate's leader, a figure whose manipulation had caused untold suffering. The decision to spare or end the leader's life weighed heavily, but Silas's resolve held. Justice, he realized, was about more than vengeance. It was about ensuring that no one would have the power to repeat such atrocities. As the sun rose over Haven, Silas and Lena stood atop the skyscraper, their mission complete, but their journey far from over. The Syndicate's fall was a victory, but it was also a reminder of the work that remained. Haven was still a city of shadows, and Silas knew that his fight would never truly end. But for the first time, he felt a glimmer of hope, not just for himself, but for the city he had sworn to protect. The end.